dialogue replacement, whilst the process of recording it is not necessarily automated, how it ends up in the particular film or particular media that you're consuming is automated in the sense that it is not really the natural dialogue that you initially had. My name is Adwar, and I'm a lecturer in the sound and music department, and I teach Foley and ADR and multitrack recording.
Could you explain to us what that is?
So Foley and ADR. Foley is every additional sound that you listen to, those sounds that you probably don't really pay attention to when you're watching a movie. When you have any piece of media, like for example, even a video game, for example, all the peripheral sounds that you hear, maybe it's somebody cooking in a kitchen, all the sound of the cutlery and all that stuff, or people in a restaurant and you hear glasses, all that stuff, all that ambient sound is part of Foley. And ADR is automated dialogue replacement, which ideally is cleaned up sound that ends up in the film. Like for example, you're watching an action scene and it's an obvious place where it ideally should be noisy. Like for example, protests in the street, and there's gunshots being fired, and there's traffic and a lot of people shouting, but then you can hear clearly dialogue between two characters or so. All that dialogue is normally recorded in studio in a controlled environment so that you can be able to hear it. That's called automated dialogue replacement. A multi-track recording is the art of recording multiple tracks into a stereo file that, or even into a mono track that somebody can consume after.
So, just a question under ADR. What part of that is automated? Because dubbing seems very manual.
So automated dialogue replacement, I know that sounds like it's something that should actually do itself, but it requires human actors. So the idea is that there's a source dialogue that needs to be replaced, and it has to be replaced in an automatic way. But how we know how technology works is that there has to be a human element to it. There has to be somebody that actually does that work. Like for example, AI is not going to give you a solution. Like if we take ChatGPT, for example, it's not going to answer a question that you haven't asked it. And that answer still has to be input there by a human element. So dialogue replacement, whilst the process of recording it is not necessarily automated, how it ends up in the particular film or particular media that you're consuming is automated in the sense that it is not really the natural dialogue that you initially had. Yes, and it's because it's done in a controlled environment.
The other question would be, what were you doing before you became a lecturer?
Oh, what was I doing before I became a lecturer? That's a very interesting question as well. So my answer begins. I've done many things in music production before I became a lecturer. I've been an artist. I've been a music producer. I've been a judge on music shows such as Tusker Project Fame and other ones like that. I've been a musical director working with various bands, helping them craft their music, and various artists as well. And all this stuff is stuff that I'm still doing currently, even as I teach at ADMI. And one of the things that I enjoy is having the opportunity to bring my own personal industry experiences into the class so that I can be able to teach them from an experiential perspective. And I can be, when I tell the students that this is what they can be able to do after they finish their studies, it's something that I've actually experienced it myself. I've actually done it, and I'm actually currently doing it. So my coming to ADMI as a lecturer was just ideally the next logical step, simply because I'm not going to die with the little that I know as far as music is concerned.
What came first, teaching or ADMI?
I believe that as a musician, you must teach. Why do I say that? It's because you're always working in an ensemble. Because no musician is an island. The way they say no man is an island, no musician is an island. You need other musicians around you. And regardless of where you find yourself operating as a musician, you're always teaching somebody something. So for me, teaching came naturally. I used to be in a choir called Voices United Choir, and I was the musical director for that. This is a long time ago. And I found myself having to teach constantly writing new songs and teaching the choir. So teaching has been a thing that has been there for me from way before. Even when I was a student in high school, I was a part of the great Nairobi school band, the Patch Band. It's a super, super band. And in the Patch Band, there was always opportunities to teach a song. And I found that I really enjoyed it. And I wasn't really even thinking about it actively, in the sense that now I'm a teacher. But I found myself just really inside that line of experience, so to speak. And I've taught in many places. I've even taught in a kindergarten. I played piano with children at International Montessori up. I think it's called Key International Montessori up at, is it Oleodume? And I think that was one of my favorite teaching moments. I taught there for about 6 months or so, until the kids wore me out.
How did you hear about ADMI?
Yeah. So I've heard about ADMI. I'd heard about ADMI for a long time before I came to work at ADMI. In some of my work experience, one of the things that I did was I worked at Tusker Project Fame, first as a sound engineer, then as a musical director, band musical director, and as a songwriter, and as a songwriting coach, and as a preliminary judge. And one of the people that we worked with there was a content director by the name Wilfred Kiumi. And when we finished, when TPF ended and all that, I mean, everyone was sort of just figuring out their life. One day Wilfred mentioned to me that he was doing this project that was called ADMI. At that point, I didn't quite understand. I mean, starting a film school to teach. Okay, he mentioned it, and it was in passing, and I think it was possibly at one of our work projects, and I can't remember what work project it was. So I'd known about ADMI from then, and I had a friend also who came to teach at ADMI around that time. This was many years ago. His name is Jackie B. And I remember he called me once and told me about this mixer that they had, that he had wanted me to come and have a look at and see if I might be able to help him figure out how to run it. And it's the mixer that's still sitting in the studio there. And then many years later, I got a call from one of my colleagues, who's the head of the of the sound and music department, Ken Wathome, and Ken told me, yeah, there's this opportunity to teach over here. Would you be interested? And I found myself in an interview with the HR guys, and here I am. I found myself teaching in ADMI. I never imagined that I'd be in academia in this way, but I really enjoy it. And it's such a great experience, and it's a great learning experience for me, especially simply because now I have to put the practical knowledge that I have into theory, and I have to be able to communicate it to other people in a way that they can understand, and they can also now communicate beyond our interaction.
So what moment did it click for you that you made the right choice?
To come to ADMI?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's an interesting question. Wait.
You can think about it.
Yeah. How I think about my being in ADMI is not about me having made the right choice. It's about it being a privilege for me to work at ADMI, simply because I get the opportunity to work with younger people who think very different from me, and also even in the faculty. And I think in the sound and music department, as far as the music producers are concerned, I think I'm the one who has been active in the music industry for the longest. So all the other guys are younger than me, but I find that they have this wealth of experience that is just out of this world. Like even currently, I'm finding myself involving them in my projects just so that they can inject some of that young blood into the stuff that I'm doing. And what I feel is that ADMI helps me to not become obsolete as far as my musical views are concerned. So I wouldn't say that for me it's the right decision that I made, but I feel like it's just a privilege for me to have been called by ADMI, to have been considered to come and teach at such a fine institution. Hapo si waniongezee mshahara. Waongeze kidogo. We take a film excerpt and translate it into the language that the students like to speak. So it's in Sheng. So we'll take a scene, like for example, from The Usual Suspects, and these students are now making that particular scene in Sheng, and of course now creating the entire soundscape around it. And it's all really, really fascinating to watch.